Okay, I'm gonna do some leading questions.
Okay.
This would be easier, right?
Yeah.
Hearing your voice in the video is better.
Right. So you're gonna share a story about when you heard me speak at the 480 conference, right? There was a
Yes.
worship night there.
Yes.
And this happened last spring, so probably April 2018.
Yeah, over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, since it was over a year ago, that was before we had planned a bike trip that we were going to go on. That happened this summer for the month of June. So anyway, last year, me, Micah, and our friends, we were at one of these worship nights that C.D. and Sarah had taken us to a few of these, and you spoke, and then you prayed over everyone in the crowd after that. And you prayed over me, and you said that that you saw me riding my bike alone with God, just me and him, having like a nice time, just me and my Holy Father, just riding through the woods and the mountains. And I always kind of thought it was like metaphorical, and that like one day I'd understand what it meant. And like over a year, I kind of like, it was always in the back of my mind, but I kind of like forgot about it. Didn't really ever see it being like a real thing, like a anything but a metaphor.
Right.
And then because like a few of the things that you'd said to my friends, those had come true, and it was really cool, but I just never really thought about mine. And then we were on our bike trip for a month, and I was sitting there talking with my sister and my brother, and it just hit me, and like I was like, oh my goodness, like Nate Smith prayed over me about this happening, like, because even though we were all touring together, like we would kind of like, we were in Quebec, Canada, and we toured there for the month of June. We did 500 miles, and it was a really cool trip, an experience of a lifetime. And we would kind of get separated every now and then, but we were still on the same trail, so like someone in the front would just stop until we were all together. And so it was like just a good amount of the trip you were kind of riding out alone, just you in the trees and in the mountains, and you couldn't really see the person riding in front of you or behind you. And a lot of times I was in the back anyway, and I just enjoyed that because I could sit there and I could talk to God. And anyway, I realized like Nate Smith saw this happening. Like I rode for a long time, just like through the woods and through the trees and the mountains, just me and God talking and renewing my relationship with him. And like because of that trip, I feel stronger than ever in my faith, and like I feel like I truly know my Heavenly Father, and that was just something that you predicted, and that was really cool.
That's crazy. I got goosebumps a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the crazy thing about prophecy, is that it's there to encourage one another, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not about fortune telling, it's not about running around and telling people their futures, but it's like, hey, the Lord sees you and he knows you in an intimate way. And sometimes those things, they are metaphors. And I think Christian culture loves the talk of just, hey, you're on a journey with the Lord.
Yeah.
And like that kind of makes sense with like, riding a bike through the mountain.
Exactly. Like,
to take that as that,
yeah.
right?
And it hit me at a time in the trip that I needed some encouragement, because like the 2 days before that, my sister and my grandma both got pretty sick. And my grandma's back went out, and she now just had a few surgeries because of it, and like she's been able to bike for hundreds of miles, and now that part of her life's probably over for good. And then my sister was very sick, and they both had to leave early and go stay with our hosts for a few days, and it was pretty discouraging, just like not being the group that we were supposed to be for the rest of the trip. And my sisters and my grandma were only supposed to stay for the first half anyway, but they went earlier than that. But then that was the day when we were sitting there talking to them the day before they had to leave. And like, I didn't realize it till now, but like I needed that motivation to get through the rest of the trip, because it was a lot harder, because like now that all like my grandma and my sisters were gone, we did much harder rides and just much longer, and for a month, like without seeing my family and my friends and being home, that was just that was hard, but with them there, it was a little more bearable. But yeah, it just, that motivation really helped get me through it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So cool.
That's so awesome. Dude, thanks for sharing.
No problem.
That's huge.
Thanks for praying over me.
Yeah.